Hello, football fans, and welcome to the second season of Inside the Eagles Nest. As always, I'm Kevin Tosh, the FC Insider, and my partner in crime here, Justin Hall. Go ahead and give your Twitter handle out.
Justin Hall 04.
Pretty easy to remember.
Yeah.
And we want to welcome you, like we said, to our second season of Inside the Eagles Nest. Justin, it's been a long time since we've done one of these.
Yeah, it's been almost a year.
But a little bit less than a year.
Well, yeah, I guess you
But it has been a year since we started Inside the Eagles Nest, and we hope everybody is enjoying the site. It's going to be getting kicked off a little more here. There's actually going to be action on the football field. And talking about action, Franklin County finally got the season underway 2 weeks ago on a Friday, mid-morning, about 10 o'clock. They traveled to Lynchburg City Stadium, took on EC Glass, and Coach Jones said that he was really, happy with the way things went at EC Glass. You have some early jitters and some turnovers early, but he said his defense played really well. They had a couple interceptions. Defensive tackle Tyler Toon, that was the story of the night for the good things for Franklin County, is his play at defensive tackle. He played lights out. But bad news coming out of that scrimmage was quarterback Kyle Ellis going down with a shoulder injury, and that's really, really tough for Franklin County.
Yeah, Kevin, I mean, if you're going to look at the bright spots coming back for Franklin County this year, I mean, obviously the biggest one was Kyle Ellis emerging as a true quarterback threat near the end last year, running the wishbone offense. I mean, he was just definitely the bright spot coming into this year.
That's right. He was, a little bit conservative at the beginning of last season. But I'll tell you, come William Fleming the second time around, all the way through the Northwest Region playoffs, he really became the orchestrator of that offense and was playing the option like any other quarterback. He's playing like Tevin Washington at Georgia Tech. He could hide the ball and use his size. He was coming on throwing the ball, but, he could possibly be back by the end of the season. From what I understand, he had his shoulder surgery. He had a broken collarbone. He got everything straightened away, so he could be back by the end of the season. But it's definitely going to be a long road to recovery for Kyle Ellis. And another loss for the Franklin County team while we're talking about it was all-world punter Bradley Rayburn. Averaged almost 40 yards a kick last season as the punter for Franklin County. I think he had a 62 or a 65-yarder in the season. But he's not with the team. He decided not to return to the football team. So that's another big loss for Franklin County. But they found Ethan Power, number 55. I was talking to the kicking coach, Dick Ward, for Franklin County, and he said this kid just came up to him and said, I want to try to punt. And he's starting to get the handle of it. He gets a little bit shaky, but I think he's going to come around.
I know. He rocked off a few good punts in the scrimmage against Brookville the other night. So, I mean, really, it's going to be a major loss for Bradley Rayburn. With Franklin County's offense, field position is a huge part of it. And Bradley Rayburn really helped Franklin County's defense and offense out a couple times last year with that big leg.
And not only being the punter for Franklin County, he was also the kicker, kicked majority of the extra points. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, I saw the first field goal from Franklin County during the scrimmage. Chris Richardson, I think it was 22, 23 yards, but, Coach Jones actually sent a kicker out there on fourth down. And Chris Richardson made the most of it and put it through the uprights for 3 points for Franklin County.
Yeah, if Richardson keeps making those field goals, I mean, Coach Jones isn't going to be reluctant to bring him back out. Whereas in years past, Franklin County really didn't have a true field goal kicker, so we were going for it on fourth downs a lot, and that was leaving a lot of points on the scoreboard.
But Richardson's not a new player. He was on the team last year. I think he kicked 12 extra points for Franklin County, made 11 of them. So he's not something new to this. He makes the coaches a little bit nervous. He has a really low flight trajectory on the ball, but he's been pretty efficient for Franklin County last season and going into this season. But like we said, they scrimmaged EC Glass 2 weeks ago. This past Friday night, Franklin County played host to the Brookville Bees, the defending Double-A state championship team, in a benefit game. And mixed results from that team. Justin, what did you see at that game?
I really saw a lot of inexperience along the offensive line and definitely the quarterback position for Franklin County. The defense stood up well against the defended state champs. I mean, their quarterback might be one of the top quarterbacks in our area this year. And really only gave up, 10 points against the first-team Bees offense.
Yeah, the first-team defense for Franklin County only gave up 10 points. Brookville scored on a pick six on a fourth down play. Mm-hmm. But the Brookville defense played really hard, played really tough, stopped Franklin County inside the 15, stopped them on the... They had the ball in the one. Franklin County had a false start penalty. But, the score could have been completely different. But like you said, Franklin County, a very young team, especially on the offensive line. Just to give you a little preview of what they have coming on the offensive line, you have Chris Luckett, who's a 6'2", 245 junior. He's playing left tackle. He was on the team last year, but he was injured early in the season, didn't see a lot of playing time at all. Then you have left guard, you have Jack Boone, who's one of the captains. He's an 11th grader. You have Tyler Lehman playing center, taking over for All-State center Travis Pagans. Then you have right guard Alvino Matthews, also another one of the captains on this team. Then you have Josh Stone, the only returning starter on the offensive line for Franklin County.
Yeah, I mean, Franklin County, they run that vertical blocking scheme. So what it is, it goes down through, and it takes a little while to learn it. So hopefully the Franklin County offense will be able to do it.
That's right. The main thing is going from that JV to varsity level is the speed of the game. You have the size, 245, 245, 305. You've got the size. You just have to get that quickness, the big man quickness to get up out of your stance and get downfield. Because like you said, with this blocking scheme that Franklin County uses, it's not about blocking the defensive line. It's about blocking that linebacker and springing them into the third level. But at wide receiver, we have Akeem Alderman and Ray Witcher for Franklin County. We saw a couple of bright spots out of both of them in the scrimmage game.
Yeah, both of them, they have the speed to play the ends. Alderman he looks like a man on the field. He's 6'4" or 6'1".
6'1".
Looks taller and out on the field, definitely. But definitely big targets for whoever Coach Jones puts in at quarterback.
And we talked a lot about last season in the backfield for Franklin County, about Franklin County and Coach Jones having a stable of backs. The stable of backs last year, in terms of numbers, has nothing on this year's stable of backs. Z-backs, you've got Christian Witcher and E.J. Harris, who both explosive speed if they can get to the hole. We saw E.J. Harris with a big run that got him down to about the 1-yard line. But, what do you think about both of those two players?
Really, both of those players, they complement each other well. Like you said, they both have the acceleration to hit that hole and really the speed to get around the edge. Going along with everything else you said, they can go up the middle, they can hit the corner. So hopefully they have a little bit of wiggle and get them, spring them to the next level.
That's right. And you can't talk about this Franklin County backfield without talking about Western Valley District Offensive Player of the Year for 2011, the 5'8", 185 senior this year, number 24, Chance Tyree.
Yeah, he really exploded. Not really at the beginning of the season last year, but all of a sudden coming through, everybody knew who Chance Tyree was. And really the coaches voted on it at the end of the season and said that he was the best offensive player in the district.
That's right. He came up just shy, within less than 10 yards of hitting that 1,000-yard mark rushing this year. You know that's on his mind, and he wants to get that for his senior year. And then to round out the offensive side, you have to talk about the quarterback situation. Kyle Ellis, he's not going to be playing for a while, if he plays at all during this season. So you have his backup, who the starter for the last preseason game was Ethan Adams, a big 6'6" quarterback. Prototypical size. He's a little bit on the smaller weight size for a quarterback, but he was a little bit uncertain, but he came on strong towards the end of the scrimmage.
Yeah, he definitely knows he can pass the ball. It is borderline goofy watching the 6'6" guy out there trying to run the wing tee, trying to hand the ball off. I guess we're getting used to T.J. Shaw, Kyle Ellis last year, both of them 6-foot quarterbacks, that can sit there and hide behind the offensive line. There's no hiding Ethan Adams.
That's right, but he ran this offense last year in the JV game. I went to a couple JV games and saw him run it, so he had the capability of running it. Like we said, getting used to the speed of playing varsity football. He seemed like he struggled with that a little bit to start, but we said, he ended off the game with a touchdown pass, I believe, to Hakeem Alderman against Brookville. But the other quarterback, who was the JV quarterback just a week ago, Braxton Wheeler, a sophomore. Me personally, I thought he had a very strong showing at the scrimmage against Brookville.
Yeah, it looked like Braxton came in and really just took the reins of the offense. They didn't skip a beat. They moved the ball on down the field. Of course, they had a couple big-time runs from the running backs and everything, but he looked fluid, threw a lot of great passes in the backfield, had a nice touch on the ball. So, I'm like you. I think he definitely played better than Ethan Adams last week against, Brookville, probably one of the top defenses in this area.
But at the time we're recording this, there's no declared starter for Franklin County. I personally believe that Ethan Adams will probably start, being that he's the junior and he has the size. And they're going to be playing a somewhat weaker William Fleming team. I think Coach Jones is going to give him the reins in a game-time situation. Who do you think is going to be the starter?
I think Ethan Adams deserves to start. He ran the offense last year. He was the backup this year. He deserves to start until Braxton Wheeler basically shows Coach that, I should be the starter of this team.
Because I think we'll see Braxton Wheeler come this Friday, whether it's in mop-up duty or if things turn for the worse, to come in. And both quarterbacks are equally capable of running this offense. I guess we can switch over to the defensive side. This is one of the strong suits of this Franklin County team. Everything you read from the Roanoke Times, Virginia Preps, talk about this defense being very strong for Franklin County. But just like the offense, they had to replace some really key players.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're led by Tyler Toon. I mean, you talked about Tyler Toon during the EC last scrimmage. I mean, he just wreaks havoc going up the middle. And really, no team's going to run up the middle on Tyler Toon unless he's getting double-teamed.
That's right. And I think that's what a lot of teams are going to have to do is double-team Tyler Toon because he just has explosive speed. He's 5'10", 220 pounds. Not something that I want to get hit by personally.
No.
If I were a football player, he just, like we said, explosive speed, and that's what really makes a good defensive lineman. And that's not a defensive end position. That's a defensive tackle. But joining him on the defensive line, we've got Jack Boone, plays offense. Offensive line, Josh Stone, plays offensive line. Alvino Matthews plays offensive line. But there's going to be a lot of players coming in and out for Franklin County. And while we're talking about the defensive line, we also want to welcome a new coach for Franklin County. He's the defensive coordinator for the JV team and also the defensive line coach, Orion Martin. A lot of Franklin County fans might not be too happy with that if they remember his days as an Eagle in GW. He wreaked havoc on Franklin County a couple times back in the day. He also had a good playing career at Franklin County, but want to welcome him to the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, he's a former Hokie, did worldly things up at Virginia Tech, was great on the defensive line. So hopefully he'll sit there and he can teach Tyler Toon and those a little bit more and try to get them to the next level as well.
That's right. Franklin County lost Coach Jack Turner, went to coach Auburn High School. He was the only loss that they had as far as the coaching staff goes. They also added Derwin Hall. He's a quarterback's coach. He's going to be coaching some of the 9th grade in JV. Also want to welcome him to the coaching staff. But moving back over to the defensive side of the ball, we talked about the defensive line. The linebacker core is where Franklin County really lost some key players from last season. But they're really stacked again. They're bringing Ryan Wade. A lot of people remember him as a fullback. It feels like this kid has been on the team forever.
Finally a senior, which is a bad thing for Franklin County fans. I mean, Ryan Wade, he just knows how to play ball. He plays wherever, the coach puts him out at. He's definitely a baller.
That's right. He's 6'2", 245 senior. He played a little fullback last year. He's moved over to Z-back, kind of a flip-flop from what you would actually think. But then we also have Garrett Jennings, a 5'10", 190 junior, and Hunter Ingram, a 5'7", 170 junior at the linebacker. So a very athletic linebacker core from Franklin County.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Past the linebackers, we're going to safeties, which in the high school game, a lot of the safeties play up into linebackers. And really, that could be one of the true gems on Franklin County's defense in Bubba Henderson.
That's right. This kid has an eye and a nose for the football. Anytime you look at a tackle, I don't care if it's on the line of scrimmage or it's somewhere downfield, Bubba Henderson is on the ball. And he also he can pick the ball off, so, 5'11", 175 senior. Plays a little wide receiver. Probably will see him play a little wide receiver this year. But on the opposite side, Thomas Church, 5'11", 165 junior. He's at the other safety position. So it's a good safety core for Franklin County.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Look at our cornerbacks. They were sophomores last year, coming up leading the juniors this year. They're battle-tested. E.J. Harris, Jalen Gill also play running back for Franklin County. They have the speed, and they should have the confidence to shut down the big passing teams that we're going to go up against this year.
That's right. They got a year of varsity football under the belt. And the one thing that I was impressed by E.J. Harris and Jalen Gill about last season is you didn't have to call their name. The only time, there's 2 times when you call a cornerback's name, when he picks the ball off or when he gets beat. And so there was hardly any times where they got beat last year. And now that they've come on and got a year of varsity experience, I think that the secondary for this Franklin County team is going to be really strong.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely, Tyler Toon, the defensive line. Really the whole Franklin County defense is going to be pretty strong this year. And they might need it here in the first couple of games while the Franklin County offense gets acclimated with all the new kids.
That's right. And like we said, number 55, Ethan Power, is going to be doing most of the punting duty, if not all the punting duty. That's from kicking coach Dick Ward. Also, kickers, Franklin County has 2. And we only saw Chris Richardson during the scrimmage. He's number 12, so I think he's going to be doing a lot. But talking to Coach Dick Ward, number 57, Seth McGirt, could also be a kicker for Franklin County. So the special teams is one of those tricky areas with Franklin County and one of the question marks and the quarterback position as far as going into the season.
Yeah, I mean, Friday night can't get here fast enough for me.
That's right. And speaking of Friday night, we're going to be right back, and we're going to talk a little bit about the matchup between William Fleming and Franklin County.
Welcome back to Inside the Eagles Nest. Kevin Tosh on my right. Of course, I'm still Justin Hull. Kevin, Franklin County's got William Fleming this Friday night. You know, over the course of the last 3 years, William Fleming's run across some bad luck. Hasn't won many games. Is there any reason to believe William Fleming turns it around this year?
I think that William Fleming has all the pieces in place to turn this football program around, and one of the reasons is youth.
Definitely.
Because what happens after a team loses a couple years in a row is the players get in that mentality that we can't win. We can't beat Franklin County. We can't beat Patrick Henry. These players, only 4 of them out of the 22 starters have ever played a down of varsity football. So in their minds, they can take on the world. And another thing that Franklin County has a little bit of trouble with, and William Fleming's bringing to the table, team speed. William Fleming typically doesn't have a great deal of size, but boy, do they bring blazing speed to the table. So I think Franklin County could possibly run into a buzzsaw at William Fleming.
Oh, yeah, I mean, look at the teams Franklin County has trouble with in the past. You know, Magna Vista is the first one that comes to mind. They had an experienced quarterback last year. They had a lot of speed last year. And Franklin County really has nothing to do with that team's speed. A lot of teams try to battle us in the trenches. Hardly anybody in our area has the size that Franklin County has. So really, team speed is the way to get at Franklin County.
It's like Christiansburg also. Team speed, the 2 teams that beat Franklin County during the regular
season. I just erased Christiansburg out of my mind last year.
Okay, we can do that. It's a new season anyway. You're only as good as your last game.
Yeah.
A wise man told me last Friday night, head coach Chris Jones. But William Fleming, just giving you a little bit of a preview. Like we said, they're going to go completely away from what they did in the past years. Coach Lee Johnson, one of the nicest coaches that I deal with throughout the season, responds quickly to emails, to phone calls, does anything very accommodating, but he says he's going to this spread offense, getting the ball in his playmakers' hands, and playmakers and speed he has all the way around the field. You know, wide receivers, Diamond Shorter, 5'5", 137, blazing speed. Malik Vaughn, 6 foot, 178, a little bit bigger receiver, so he's going to be able to spell on the opposite side of the field. E.T. Morrisow, 6'2", 186, wide receiver. Needless to say, he also plays linebacker on this football team. So William Fleming's going to spread the ball out. You know, try to get open space for their playmakers. They got running back Jerome Hill, who's a 5'5", 139-pound sophomore. So Coach Lee Johnson, he's looking to be in the long haul, develop these players. And his quarterback is going to have a little senior leadership, the 6'2", 159, Trey Sawyers. Quarterback last year, Dom Frierson, he transferred out.
I thought his name was Dunaville.
That was what started the season, but then it was Frierson.
Okay,
At
gotcha.
the end of the season. But, Trey Sawyers, he's going to be slinging the ball around, handing off to Jerome Hill. Across the offensive line, Antonio Williams playing left tackle. Tyler Chumbley, I believe he played a little bit last year. I remember calling that game, at least in the second time they played him. Savion Stone at center, Justin Jarrett at right guard, and Isaiah Fletcher at right tackle. And there is 1, 2, 3 sophomores on that offensive line. So a lot of youth also on the offensive line for William Fleming. And heading over to the defensive side of the football, William Fleming is going to look to stop the run first. And playing against Franklin County, that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, playing against a lot of teams here in the area. I mean, everybody is going towards this hybrid wing tee. It works in high school football. There's not many teams that run the spread like William Fleming and Magna Vista and Christiansburg.
Salem's going to do this year.
And Salem's, unfortunately, incorporating the speed this year. So.
But the way that they're going to do this, William Fleming is going to come at offenses with 5-man fronts. But it's a little bit different than what you'd expect from a normal 5-man front. They do have defensive ends, but they are Daquan Edgerton, 6'1", 179 pounds, smaller frame defensive end, but still a big player. And then you got Brad Holland, a 5'6", 172-pound sophomore, playing the other defensive end. So it's going to be a lot of speed coming off the end, trying to contain it and force Franklin County up the middle. And up the middle, they have 6 foot, 248-pound sophomore. Once again, tons of sophomores on this William Fleming squad. Jalen Poindexter, defensive tackle. Nehemiah Edwards at nose guard. And Devontae Terry, the 5'10", 210, 11th grader at defensive tackle. So 5-man front, looking to stop the run. And at linebackers, Darrell Stone. Can't talk about this defense without talking about Darrell Stone. 6'2", 218 pounds. Plays a little bit of running back. Could possibly see him. We're talking to the coach. Could see him at running back, but he's mainly going to be playing at linebacker. E.T. Morrisow, the wide receiver, also going to be playing linebacker. Cornerbacks, you got Malik Bonds, Nico Johnson. Nico Johnson played a little bit of defense last year. Called his name out. Malik Bonds, also a wide receiver. Diamond Shorter be playing safety. He's a wide receiver, so you know they have good hands.
It's a missile coming out of the backfield there at safety.
That's right. And then at the other safety, you have 5'9", going to be playing free, 138, Raquan King. So tons of speed, offensive and defensive side of the football. Franklin County could possibly have their hands full. So as we get ready to close this episode, I'm going to ask you, Justin, I usually ask you what do you think your keys to the games are, but this year I'm going to ask you, why is William Fleming going to win this game?
Well, William Fleming's hungry. I mean, no team has beat Franklin County in the last 3 Western Valley District games. William Fleming hasn't won a game in, 2 years now?
I think they won a single game last year.
Single game last year.
Against Halifax, an eligible player.
Yeah,
long story short.
So they really want to win. If you want to win, you want to beat the best. Right now, Franklin County is the best. I mean, Franklin County, they have a lot of issues. Their offensive line is new. They don't have a quarterback right now that's, prominent. So really, William Fleming's coming into this game saying, we can beat Franklin County. So, I mean, they have the mindset. And who knows what happens. These are high school kids. I mean, emotions run wild.
I'll tell you, that's a pretty strong case there for William Fleming. Last question I have for you. Why is Franklin County going to come out of William Fleming with a win this Friday night?
Because good teams beat bad teams. And Franklin County wants to consider themselves a good team, then, I mean, they should really go through. They can't let this game creep up on them. Coach Jones showed last year that he likes to run a little bit of vanilla playbook offense there early in the year, then incorporate all of the big plays in it when district play rolls around. And, he very well might do that again this year. Unless Franklin County gets down, then he has to go a little bit deeper in his playbook. But good teams beat bad teams. So let me turn around on you, Kevin. Why do you think William Fleming's going to beat Franklin County?
I've got one thing to say, and that's all it is. William Fleming will beat Franklin County because of their speed. It's the first game of the season. Everybody's going to be healthy for William Fleming, barring any unforeseen injuries at practice. And Franklin County, even against Brookville, I don't think they're going to see the speed that they're going to see out of this William Fleming team, this young and hungry William Fleming team.
All right, and why will Franklin County beat William Fleming?
Franklin County is going to win and beat William Fleming because they're hungry. They went to Lynchburg City Stadium and laid a thumping on EC Glass. They come into Cy Dillon Stadium last Friday night to take on the defending AA state champions in Brookville. And while the first string looked pretty good in the first half, they took it on the chin.
Definitely.
A lot of people don't remember what happened in the game. They remember that final score that's in the paper. It's on Virginia Press. They remember that score. That's what people remember. And Franklin County and head coach Chris Jones don't want people to remember that after this Friday night. They want that preseason game to be just that, preseason and out of everybody's mind. They're hungry, and they want to come away with that first win, and they definitely don't want to break that streak against Western Valley District teams.
Yeah, well, folks, you heard it here first. Why William Fleming is going to beat Franklin County, and why Franklin County is going to beat William Fleming. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, hopefully we'll still be here next week. I'm Justin Hall. You can follow me on Twitter for game live updates. Hopefully I'll do a little bit better job of that this year. Justin Hall 04. And of course you got FC Insider over here, Kevin Tosh. Look forward to seeing you guys next week.